What's going on, folks? Thank you for tuning in to another lovely vlog with yours truly, Ignatius Crypto Detective Polacki. I was going to say the lackey. The Crypto Lackey. No, the Crypto Detective Ignatius Polacki here. This vlog is brought to you by p2ptender.com. Subscribe, please, to the YouTube channel. Like my videos, comment, and visit p2ptender.com and you can subscribe to the email list and stay in tune with all that's going on my website, which is still currently under development. Nevertheless, without further ado, we're going to get to the coin of the day. Can you guess what the coin of the day is? I bet you can't. You think you can. You see Ethereum. You thought thinking it's Ethereum, huh? Well, that's a half truth. Today's coin of the day is not going to be just one coin. It's going to be two coins. Yes. Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. Those are my coins of the day. I wanted to make this video because Ethereum is awesome. That's number one. And because Ethereum Classic and how it came about is an interesting story. So I kind of want to just go over that here. I'm running low on battery, so I'll probably split this video up in two segments. We're going to start off with the pros and the cons of both Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, and then we're going to go over this wonderful article that's brought to you by blockgeeks.com. I have no affiliation with blockgeeks.com, but I am promoting them because of this article. So if you want to read more on this article, please go to blockgeeks.com. It's a great read. What can I say? Pros and cons. Ethereum Classic. Well, before we get into that, so basically, Ethereum was Ethereum until it reached a hard fork as a result of what was known as the DAO token. And the DAO token was hacked. And many of these tokens were stolen, and it upset the community, which resulted in a soft fork, and then it resulted in a hard fork, and then everybody was happy, basically. That's long story short, and then we can go over that later. But nevertheless, there was a community split because of that. And there's all those folks that are diehard fans of Ethereum Classic, which was the original Ethereum, so they're really sticking to it. But the whole thing is there isn't really much going on with Ethereum Classic. It's full of all kinds of scams and frauds in terms of the tokens built on the network, being built on the network. And as far as Ethereum goes, Ethereum is growing exponentially, and there's plenty of legit tokens that are smart contracts, right? ERC20 tokens built on the Ethereum network that are useful. They're being put to use. And that which was a flaw in the Ethereum code was changed. It was fixed. That's why you had that fork. That was the only way to fix that. That was the whole dilemma then. I remember reading about it. They're like, well, do we fork off and just create a new Ethereum and that'll be Ethereum, or what do you do? And that's where the community was really split. Because a lot of folks think that when a coin is designed to be what it's designed to be, you shouldn't change it. Some people just see it that way, because it defeats the purpose of a decentralized cryptocurrency when you have somebody messing with the code and releasing new versions and kind of at will creating a new fork and forking off. But we've seen that with every coin. I mean, it's Bitcoin. There's so many different versions of that. So you've got to have some kind of like a backup plan, or there has to be a backdoor built into a crypto, I feel. There's got to be a safety measures and a safety net. You can't just have something where if it is compromised, because you never know. You can release the greatest coin in the world and say there's never going to be a hack or a compromise, but until you're going to cross that bridge when you get there, and you're going to say, oh shit. So Pros and cons between Ethereum Classic and Ethereum. Pros. Ethereum Classic stays true with the philosophy of the immutability of the blockchain. Has recently got the backing of a few big players. I even think that Ethereum Classic is being listed as a security on an exchange, or at least it was approved somewhere in the world. I don't remember if this was somewhere in the UK or somewhere here in the US. But cons, doesn't get access to all the new updates made in Ethereum chain, which, for example, the move from proof of work to proof of stake, and we'll discuss what that means later on in another video, which I've been meaning to do for a while now. All the heavyweights of Ethereum have moved to Ether, considered an insult and an attack on the Ethereum community. It's funny. It's like the Bitcoin community or the crypto community. He's got his own little gangs. It's known to be full of scammers. So Ethereum, pros, is growing at an exponential pace, has the majority of the original big dogs who have created Ethereum in its corner, has reversed the DAO hack and given back the stolen money and to its rightful owners, the DAO token holders. And DAO is what decentralized autonomous something. Is being constantly updated with the latest changes, has higher hash rate than ETC, a powerful example of what the Ethereum community is capable of when it comes together to solve a problem. Ethereum is backed by a powerful group of over 200 corporations called the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, which aims to use the blockchain technology to run smart contracts at Fortune 500 companies. Wow. Members include Microsoft, JP Morgan, Toyota, Ing, etc. Cons. Goes against the policy of immutability. And that's where that whole split came about, is right there. Why you should support Ether. Having examined, well, let's back up. Let's back up. This is a great article, but let's start at the beginning, because I'm going to go over some things here. And I don't necessarily think you should support Ether. I mean, what's to say you can't make another fork for Ethereum Classic and make a better Ethereum? How do you know that? How do you know you can't take Ethereum Classic and and fork that and make it even better than this Ethereum? Who knows? If you have been involved in the cryptocurrency, there is no way that you don't have an opinion on this, right? The formation of the DAO. The entire ecosystem of Ethereum works on the basis of smart contracts. For the uninitiated, I love it when people say that, for the uninitiated, smart contracts are basically how things get done in the Ethereum ecosystem. To put it in layman terms, smart contracts are automated contracts that enforce and facilitate the terms of the contract itself. The DAO, aka the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, didn't know what that O stood for, was a complex smart contract which was going to revolutionize Ethereum forever. It was basically going to be decentralized venture capital fund, which was going to fund all future dApps made in the ecosystem. The way it worked was pretty straightforward. If you wanted to have any say in the direction dApps that would get funded, then you would have to buy DAO tokens for a certain amount of Ether. The DAO tokens were indicators that you are now officially part of the DAO system. So how were dApps going to get approved and built? Well, firstly, they had to get whitelisted by the curators, who have basically known figureheads in the Ethereum world. After getting their stamp of approval, they will get voted on by the DAO token holders. If the proposal gets 20% approval in the vote, then they will get the required funds to get started. The potential of the DAO and the flexibility, control, and complete transparency that it offered was unprecedented. People leaped in to get their share of the pie. Within 28 days of its formation, it accumulated over 150 million worth of Ether in a crowd sale. At that time, it had 14% of all Ether tokens issued to date. You might be wondering, that's all good, but how does one go out of the DAO? What if some dApps get approved that you are not a huge fan of? How do you opt out of the DAO then? To enable this, an exit door was created called the split function. Using this function, you would get back the Ether you have invested, and if you so desired, you could even create your own child DAO. In fact, you could split off with multiple DAO tokens, DAO token holders, and create your own child DAO and start accepting proposals. There was one condition in the contract, however. After splitting off from the DAO, you would have to hold on to your Ether for 28 days before you could spend them. So everything looks nice and spiffy for now, except there was one little problem. A lot of people saw this possible loophole and pointed it out. The DAO creators assured that this was not going to be a big issue. The only thing is it was, and that created an entire storm that split Ethereum into Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. I remember this. This was an interesting to witness. Anyhow, the DAO attack on 17th June 2016. Someone exploited this very loophole in the DAO and siphoned away 1/3 of the DAO's funds. That's around $50 million. The loophole that the hacker discovered was pretty straightforward in hindsight. Look at how much I have. Can I hold it? If one wished to exit the DAO, then they could do so by sending a request. The splitting function will then follow the following 2 steps. Give the user back his or her Ether in exchange for their DAO tokens, register the transaction in the ledger, and update the internal token balance. What the hacker did was they made a recursive function in the request, so this is how the splitting function went. Take the DAO tokens from the user and give them the Ether requested. Before they could register the transaction, the recursive function made the code go back and transfer even more Ether for the same DAO tokens. Wow, we talk about shenanigans. This went on and on until 50 million worth of Ether were taken out and stored in the child DAO, and as you would expect, pandemonium went through the entire Ethereum community. Note, before we continue with the article, let's make one distinction clear. The hack happened because of an issue in the DAO, not because of any issues in the Ethereum itself. Ethereum runs in the background while DAO runs on it. So, again, DAO, it's a smart contract. It's like when you look at any ERC20 token, it's essentially, and that's the same, that's what it is. It's something built on the network, not that itself. It's just somebody seen something they could exploit in the code, and they did. And my battery's running low, so what I'm going to do is finish this last little paragraph, and I will continue this video on hey, you know what? We can continue it tomorrow, even. Who knows? Might finish it up today. Anyways, as Gavin Wood, the co-founder of Ethereum, puts it, blaming Ethereum for the DAO hack is like saying the internet is broken every time a website goes down. So there you have it, folks. That's what happened. That is kind of the story. I wish I had charged my phone earlier, but I didn't feel like it. Today was one of those days, you know? So that's just something that can happen. It's something that cryptocurrencies are smart. It's not cryptocurrencies. It was the smart contract. It had nothing to do with Ethereum itself, as stated just now. But creating a hard fork was necessary to turn that whole situation around. Anyhow, thank you for tuning in. Subscribe, and part 2 of this video is coming. I'll make sure to get that done and uploaded pretty soon. And till next time, guys.